Have you ever been so wrong about someone that it nearly cost you everything? This millionaire was about to fire the one person who would save his children's lives. What he discovered about his janitor changed everything he believed about worth and value. I've researched hundreds of workplace stories, but this one reveals something profound about human judgment. By the end of this story, you'll understand why the people we overlook might be the heroes we desperately need, and how one split-second decision revealed who truly mattered. Marcus Thompson went from dismissing Keisha as just a janitor to realizing she was the guardian angel his family never knew they had. If you've ever underestimated someone because of their job title, this story will change how you see everyone around you. Marcus Thompson stood in his marble-floored home office watching through floor-to-ceiling windows as Keisha Williams slowly cleaned the pool area. Again. For the third time this week, he'd caught her talking to his 6-year-old twins instead of focusing on her janitorial duties. The 42-year-old tech CEO adjusted his expensive platinum watch and shook his head. This was exactly why his company had a strict policy about fraternizing with staff. Employees needed to understand boundaries. "She's gotta go," Marcus muttered, making a mental note to call the cleaning service Monday morning. He'd been patient enough. 3 months of Keisha's inefficient cleaning habits were 3 months too many. Keisha Williams had no idea her employment hung by a thread. The 34-year-old single mother arrived each morning at 7 sharp, wearing her pressed blue maintenance uniform with white-collar details. She took pride in her work, even if others couldn't see past the title. What Marcus didn't know was that Keisha had once been a certified lifeguard and swim instructor at the community center. Before budget cuts eliminated her position, she taught hundreds of children water safety, including many with special needs. The janitorial job paid less, but it allowed her to work near her daughter's school district. The Thompson estate sprawled across 2 acres in the most exclusive neighborhood, complete with a pristine swimming pool surrounded by mahogany decking. 6-year-old twins Tyler and Emma loved the water, though their elderly nanny Margaret was increasingly unable to supervise their energetic play. Marcus traveled frequently for business acquisitions, leaving Margaret to manage 2 active children who seemed drawn to every possible danger. At 65, Margaret struggled with the twins' boundless energy, often relying on afternoon medication that made her drowsy. This is where Keisha became invaluable, though Marcus saw only distraction. "Miss Keisha, look what I can do," Emma called out, attempting a cartwheel near the pool's edge while wearing her red and blue superhero swimsuit. "Careful, sweetie," Keisha responded temporarily, setting down her cleaning supplies. "Remember what we talked about? Pool area means walking feet only." Tyler, the more cautious twin in his blue Superman swim trunks, nodded seriously. "Emma, you promised Miss Keisha you'd be safe." Marcus watched this interaction from his office window with growing irritation. Every day, the same pattern. Keisha would arrive to clean, but somehow always ended up playing unofficial babysitter. It wasn't her job. What frustrated Marcus most was the children's obvious attachment to their janitor. They called her Miss Keisha, with genuine affection, shared their toys, and even saved her drawings from art class. It was inappropriate. "Mr. Thompson employs me to clean, not entertain his children," Keisha had told herself repeatedly. But she couldn't ignore kids who clearly craved attention. Their father worked 16-hour days, and Margaret, bless her heart, needed help keeping up. The breaking point came Friday afternoon when Keisha mentioned the pool gate latch had been loose for days. "It's a safety concern, Mr. Thompson. The children play near the pool constantly." Marcus barely looked up from his laptop. "The gate's fine. Please focus on your assigned duties instead of finding reasons to complain about property maintenance." But the latch wasn't fine. Keisha had noticed it. Monday tried to tighten it herself Wednesday and warned Marcus twice about the potential danger. Each time he dismissed her concerns as attempts to avoid work. Saturday morning arrived with perfect weather for the business partners' barbecue Marcus was hosting. The house needed to be spotless, the pool area pristine, and everything running smoothly for his important guests. This is her last weekend, Marcus decided, reviewing Keisha's employment file. "After today's party, I'm requesting a replacement Monday." Margaret had taken her usual afternoon medication and dozed off in the living room armchair while Marcus entertained his guests on the main terrace. The twins, already excited by the party atmosphere, played energetically near the pool area where Keisha worked. "Stay back from the edge," Keisha called gently, noticing Emma's increasingly bold movements around the water. Tyler stayed closer to the poolside chairs, but Emma grew more adventurous by the minute. The broken gate latch that Marcus had dismissed as unimportant suddenly became a ticking time bomb. Keisha positioned herself strategically, cleaning while maintaining visual contact with both children, knowing Margaret was resting and Marcus was distracted. Everything seemed under control until Emma's favorite ball rolled toward the pool gate. The 6-year-old girl chased after it without thinking, pushing against the loose gate that swung open easily under her small hands. The pool beckoned invitingly in the afternoon sunshine, and Emma, caught up in retrieving her ball, tumbled directly into the deep end with a splash that changed everything. 3 months earlier, when Keisha first arrived at the Thompson estate, she'd immediately noticed the children's relationship with water. Emma was fearless to the point of recklessness, while Tyler showed natural caution but lacked confidence in the pool. During her lifeguarding days at Lincoln Community Center, Keisha had encountered countless children with similar personalities. Emma reminded her of the adventurous kids who needed constant supervision, while Tyler resembled the thoughtful children who became excellent swimmers once they built confidence. But Keisha wasn't hired as a swim instructor. She was hired to clean, and Marcus made that distinction crystal clear during their brief orientation meeting. "The cleaning service will provide detailed instructions," Marcus had said curtly. "Please maintain professional boundaries with all family members. We prefer minimal interaction between staff and children." Keisha nodded respectfully, understanding the household's formal structure. She'd worked for wealthy families before and knew the rules. Stay invisible, complete tasks, efficiently avoid personal relationships. Except Tyler and Emma made invisibility impossible. The first week, Tyler had fallen off his bicycle in the driveway, scraping his knee badly enough to cry. Margaret was inside preparing lunch. Marcus was in video conferences, and 6-year-old Tyler sat bleeding on the pavement. Keisha's maternal instincts kicked in immediately. She cleaned the wound, applied first aid from the house's medical kit, and comforted Tyler until Margaret discovered them. The elderly nanny was grateful, but Keisha worried about overstepping boundaries. "Thank you, Miss Keisha," Tyler had whispered, using the formal title that somehow sounded affectionate in his small voice. By the second week, Emma had started following Keisha around during pool cleaning sessions, chattering about school friends and her dreams of becoming a superhero. The little girl seemed starved for adult attention, asking countless questions about everything Keisha was doing. "Why do you clean the pool every day?" Emma asked one morning. "To keep it safe and healthy for swimming," Keisha explained patiently. "Do you know how to swim? Can you teach me to dive like Wonder Woman?" That's when Keisha learned Emma couldn't actually swim, despite spending hours around the pool. Margaret supervised from a distance, but couldn't provide hands-on instruction. Marcus worked constantly and assumed his children's expensive swimming lessons were sufficient. They weren't. Tyler had basic floating skills from previous lessons, but Emma had somehow convinced everyone she was pool-ready while actually being unable to swim independently. It was a dangerous misconception that kept Keisha awake at night. "Has anyone tested Emma's swimming ability recently?" Keisha asked Margaret diplomatically. Margaret looked confused. "She plays in the pool constantly. Surely she can swim by now." But playing in shallow water while wearing floaties was completely different from swimming independently. Keisha recognized the gap immediately, but couldn't address it without overstepping her role as cleaning staff. The third week brought the pool gate incident. Keisha noticed the latch was loose during her morning cleaning routine. A simple screwdriver could fix it, but property repairs weren't her responsibility. She mentioned it to Margaret, who promised to tell Marcus. Nothing happened. The fourth week, Keisha tried fixing the latch herself with tools from the garden shed. It helped temporarily, but the mechanism was wearing out and needed proper replacement. She mentioned it directly to Marcus, who seemed annoyed by the interruption. "The gate is fine," he'd said dismissively. "Please focus on cleaning rather than looking for problems that don't exist." But the problem did exist, and it was getting worse daily. By the 8th week, Tyler and Emma had claimed Keisha as their unofficial friend. They saved her pictures from art class, shared stories about school, and clearly looked forward to her daily visits. Margaret appreciated the help, and even Marcus seemed to benefit from having the children occupied while he worked. Yet Marcus still saw only an employee who talked too much and cleaned too slowly. "Why doesn't Daddy play with us like Miss Keisha does?" Emma asked one afternoon while Keisha organized pool equipment. Tyler Wise, beyond his 6 years, answered sadly, "Daddy's always working. He's too busy for kid stuff." These conversations broke Keisha's heart. She recognized two children desperate for attention from successful but emotionally unavailable parents. Her own daughter had struggled with similar feelings when Keisha worked multiple jobs to make ends meet. The 9th week brought Keisha's swimming background into focus. Tyler mentioned wanting to learn proper diving techniques, and Emma begged for real swimming lessons like the Olympics. "Miss Keisha, do you know about swimming?" Tyler asked innocently. Keisha paused her cleaning and smiled. "I used to teach swimming lessons at the community center. I was a lifeguard for 8 years before taking this job." Both children's eyes widened with excitement. "You were a lifeguard, like on TV. Could you teach us?" Emma bounced up and down with enthusiasm. "That would be up to your father," Keisha replied carefully, knowing Marcus would never approve such an arrangement. But the children persisted, asking daily about swimming techniques, water safety, and rescue procedures. Keisha found herself sharing basic safety information while cleaning, turning pool maintenance into informal water education. "Always enter the water feet first unless you're absolutely sure it's deep enough for diving," she explained while skimming leaves. "And never ever swim alone. Always have a buddy system." Tyler absorbed every word like a sponge. Emma listened, but remained impulsive, which worried Keisha constantly. By the 10th week, Margaret confided her own concerns to Keisha. "I can't keep up with them around the pool. My arthritis makes it difficult to move quickly, and my afternoon medications make me drowsy. I worry constantly about accidents." Keisha understood Margaret's position perfectly. The elderly nanny was doing her best, but two energetic 6-year-olds required more supervision than one person could safely provide, especially around water. The 11th week brought Marcus's decision to fire Keisha. He'd observed her inefficiency long enough and concluded she was more interested in playing with his children than completing her assigned duties. What Marcus failed to understand was that Keisha's attention to the children stemmed from genuine safety concerns, not laziness or boundary violations. The splash that changed everything happened at 2:47 p.m. on Saturday afternoon. Emma's ball had rolled toward the pool gate, and the 6-year-old chased it without hesitation. The loose latch that Marcus had dismissed as unimportant gave way under her small hands, and Emma tumbled directly into the deep end of the crystal-clear pool. The red and blue superhero swimsuit that made her feel invincible provided no actual swimming ability. Emma sank immediately, her mouth open in shock as water filled her lungs. She thrashed desperately, unable to find the pool's edge or call for help. Tyler heard the splash and ran toward his sister, his protective instincts overriding caution. "Emma!" he screamed, diving into the water without thinking. The 6-year-old boy's basic swimming skills were no match for panic and deep water. Tyler could float and paddle in shallow areas, but saving a drowning person required strength and technique he simply didn't possess. Within seconds, both twins were struggling in the pool's deep end. Marcus heard Tyler's scream from the main terrace, where he was discussing quarterly projections with potential investors. The sound of genuine terror cut through adult conversation like a knife, sending him running toward the pool area. What he saw through the patio door stopped his heart completely. Both of his children were in the water, flailing desperately as they went under and surfaced repeatedly. Emma was clearly drowning, unable to keep her head above water for more than a few seconds. Tyler was trying to help his sister, but sinking himself, his small arms exhausted from fighting the water. Oh God, somebody help them!" Marcus screamed, running toward the pool while struggling to remove his expensive leather shoes. He could swim, but not well enough to save two panicking children simultaneously. Margaret was still napping in the living room, unaware of the crisis unfolding outside. Marcus's business partners followed him toward the pool, but stopped helplessly at the water's edge. None of them trained in water rescue. That's when Keisha moved. She'd been cleaning the pool filter housing when Emma fell positioned perfectly to witness the accident. Her lifeguard training kicked in instantly. Assess the situation, eliminate additional dangers, execute the rescue. Without hesitation, Keisha dove fully clothed into the pool, her blue maintenance uniform and work boots creating a substantial splash as she hit the water. Her powerful strokes carried her toward the children with professional efficiency that left no doubt about her swimming ability. Emma was closest to drowning, having taken in substantial water and barely conscious. Keisha reached her first, using proper rescue technique to approach from behind and secure the girl's airway immediately. With one arm supporting Emma's head above water, Keisha kicked powerfully toward the pool's edge. Tyler was still fighting the water, exhausted and terrified, but afloat. "Miss Keisha!" he gasped, reaching toward her desperately. "I've got you, baby. I've got both of you." Keisha called back, her voice calm and reassuring despite the emergency. She managed to grab Tyler's hand while maintaining her hold on Emma, using her legs to propel all three of them towards safety. Marcus reached the pool's edge just as Keisha lifted Emma out of the water. The little girl was unconscious, her lips blue and water streaming from her mouth. Keisha immediately began rescue breathing, tilting Emma's head back and covering her small mouth with professional precision. "Come on, sweetie, come back to us," Keisha murmured between breaths, her hands positioned correctly for chest compressions on a child. Tyler clung to the pool's edge, coughing up water, but breathing independently. "Is Emma okay? Is my sister okay?" he sobbed, shivering in his soaked Superman swim trunks. After what felt like hours but was actually 40 seconds, Emma coughed violently and expelled pool water from her lungs. Her eyes opened confused and frightened, but she was breathing normally. "Mama," Emma whispered, looking directly at Keisha. "You're safe now, baby girl. You're completely safe," Keisha assured her, wrapping Emma in a pool towel while checking her pulse and breathing. Marcus stood frozen at the pool's edge, water dripping from his expensive blue business suit where he'd leaned down to help. His hands shook as he watched Keisha perform professional medical assessment on his daughter, checking Emma's pupils and asking simple questions to evaluate her consciousness. The transformation in Marcus's face was immediate and profound. The dismissive arrogance that had characterized his attitude toward Keisha evaporated completely, replaced by stunned recognition of what had just occurred. His children were alive because the woman he'd planned to fire had risked her own safety to save them. "I almost lost them," Marcus whispered, his voice breaking as the reality hit him. "If you hadn't been here, if you hadn't known what to do." Keisha looked up from Emma, who was now sitting up and breathing normally. "They're going to be fine, Mr. Thompson. Kids are resilient." But Marcus wasn't fine. He was staring at Keisha as if seeing her for the first time. The ambulance arrived within minutes, though Emma and Tyler were both breathing normally and showed no signs of lasting effects. Paramedics praised Keisha's quick response and proper rescue technique, confirming that her actions had prevented a tragedy. "You saved their lives," the lead paramedic told Marcus. "Another 30 seconds and we'd be looking at a very different outcome." As medical personnel checked both children, Marcus approached Keisha, who was wringing pool water from her blue maintenance uniform. Her natural afro was still dripping, and her work boots squished with every step. "I need to know about your swimming background," Marcus said quietly. "I was a certified lifeguard for 8 years, Keisha replied. "Taught swimming lessons to hundreds of children, including many with special needs. I lost that position when the community center faced budget cuts." Marcus felt sick, remembering how he dismissed her safety concerns about the pool gate. "You tried to warn me about the latch." "Yes, sir, multiple times, and I ignored you." Marcus ran his hands through his hair, still shaking from the near tragedy. "I was going to fire you on Monday." Keisha nodded sadly. "I figured as much. I know you think I talk to the children too much." "Miss Keisha?" Emma called from the ambulance, reaching her small arms toward the woman who'd saved her life. "Don't go away," Tyler joined his sister. "Please stay with us, Miss Keisha. You're our hero." Marcus watched his children's obvious love for their rescuer and realized how blind he'd been? Keisha wasn't distracted from her duties. She was protecting his family in ways he'd never recognized. 6 months later, Keisha lived in the renovated guest house on the Thompson property. Her official title was Family Safety Coordinator, with a salary 3 times her previous wages and full benefits for both her and her daughter. Tyler and Emma were now excellent swimmers under Keisha's expert instruction. Marcus had learned to truly see and value people beyond their job titles, starting each day with gratitude for the guardian angel who'd been there all along. The pool gate had been properly repaired immediately, though it was no longer needed. The children understood water safety completely and followed rules without question, knowing their beloved Miss Keisha had taught them well. Sometimes the people we overlook are the heroes we desperately need, waiting patiently for the moment when their true worth becomes impossible to ignore. If Keisha's courage and Marcus's transformation touched your heart, and you'd like to hear more inspiring stories like this, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. Every week I share stories about ordinary people doing extraordinary things. Which moment resonated with you most? Keisha's instant heroic response, or Marcus's recognition of his own blindness? Share in the comments below. Sometimes the heroes we need are right in front of us, waiting to be seen.